Hi, welcome to the episode 3 of Cat Talk by Alice Cat Expert. Today we're going to talk about another super common genre of behavioral cases that come to my consultation, that is aggression. Now, today actually we're not going to dive in how to solve aggression problem because it's very, very complex. But I do want to have a discussions about, is it even aggression? Okay. When a case come to my consultation, that would be the first question I ask, because when people see behavior that look like aggression, such as hissing, biting, scratching, they immediately will come to the conclusion that it is aggression. And the word aggression is also another word that being thrown around on the internet a lot, like the word territory that I mentioned in episode 2. Um, is one of those words that people doesn't seem to understand the definition and just being thrown around like that. Now, in cat behavior, there is aggression and then there is misplaced hunting behavior. And from my experience, most of the cases I deal with that people think is aggression turns out not to be aggression, is most likely misplaced hunting behavior. So today we're going to have a discussions of that. Now, regardless of what kind of aggressive looking behavior that you are experiencing, it is very frustrating and upsetting and even scary situations to be dealing with. So I'm absolutely not disregarding your feeling and your stress level if it is something that you're dealing with right now. And in fact, aggression is a very advanced level behavioral problem that usually involve behaviors with extensive amount of experience to be involved in the case. This is definitely not a beginner level behavioral problems for any behaviorist in training to be dealing with. Not only because there could be danger to the cat in case it's a cat aggression, and also often there's danger to the human as well. I deal with cases that people come to me because they have already been to the doctor to have stitches and so on. Especially in cases where there is children, there is elderly and vulnerable individuals involved, is a very high risk situation. So we can't take these things lightly. From a behavioral perspective, aggression is not a personality trait. So it's not that a case that a cat is aggressive because this is the way they are. This is a very wrong understanding about cat behavior. We can all be aggressive, okay? If I'm in danger, I could also be aggressive. It doesn't mean that I'm an aggressive person. So it really depends on the context. Aggression in cats often is a response, usually driven by fear, anxiety, stress, or perceived threats, even though they might not be real threats sometimes. This is another common thing I deal with. And then also pain and discomfort. So again, there's a physical angle to this behavior. Aggressive behavior is about gaining distance. The cat usually will try to distance themselves from the perceived threat and try to make whatever it is to go away. Usually, when the perceived threat goes away, then the aggression episode will slow down or stop. And that will be very different than misplaced hunting behavior. Misplaced hunting behavior usually involves the cat trying to gain proximity to the target. It could be an object, it could be a cat, it could be a dog, it could be a human. And it is super common problem, particularly with indoor cat and particularly in single cat household from my experience. They exhibit this kind of misplaced hunting behaviors because often is they don't have appropriate outlet to use up their energy, and or it might also be a case of not understanding what's acceptable play behavior. Typical case would involve maybe a person have played with the cat with their hands when the cat was a kitten. Is cute and people keep doing that and like tickle tickle tickle, but then eventually the cat start to grow bigger and bigger and it's not that cute anymore. It start to hurt with the scratches. And sometimes it could be a case that the cat doesn't know that the play session is over and keep chasing you down. How does this kind of misplaced hunting behavior look like, right? So when they come to my consultation, usually, typically, it will look like attacking the ankle or feet and pushing people when people just walking by to get a cup of tea in the kitchen, or they could be very calm and then suddenly turn around and bite you all of a sudden, and then suddenly they have the zoom me and they want to chase you, and you're just, going to the bathroom. These cats are not trying to make you go away. They're not trying to gain distance between you and themselves. They actually want to gain proximity. They want to close up the distance. So how do we know if it is aggression or misplaced hunting behavior? The kind of questions I will ask in a consultation, I would ask like, how does the behavior start? How does the behavior look like during the episode? And how does the episode ends? And is there certain kind of trigger? Does it usually happen certain time of the day? And how does the body language look like? Sometimes I might ask clients for videos so that I can look at the body language. Is there vocalization? How does the vocalization sound like? Does it sound like playful? Does it sound like aggression? Is there hissing involved? So how does the episode end look like? Does it involve the cat going away, or is it actually continuing until you put the cat away? Context is very, very important for this kind of case. So I'm very, very reluctant, when people just say my cat is aggressive. I'm very reluctant to conclude what it is about without actually seeing the video footage. And sometimes it annoys people because people sometimes contact me on the internet and want quick answer. And when I ask them, I need to see video, I need to see more information, people get annoyed and think that I don't want to answer them, I don't want to help them. It is not true. It's just that I don't want to give them wrong information, particularly when it comes to these kind of cases, because I don't want anyone to be injured, and also professionally, I don't want to be liable if I give the wrong advice because of the fact that I don't have all the information. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the cases I deal with is not really aggression. Aggression is misplaced hunting behavior. I would say it's about 50-50. Um, but the problem is this kind of mislabeling to think that the cat is being sinister and being aggressive is not particularly helpful, because first the cat is very confused. They're just playing in their mind. They're just playing, and then suddenly everyone is yelling and ask them to stop or whatever. And then they are like, "What did I do? I have always played this way when I was a kitten, and then suddenly it's not okay anymore. What happened?" And then people start withdrawing from them, and then it start to affect the cat-human relationship, and then the cat get more frustrated because it's natural that human wants to interact even less now because they worry about being scratched, and then the cat have even less outlet to use up their energy. Sometimes the cat might even be separated in another room due to safety concerns, and I have absolutely no judgment about doing that. uh, I mean, safety first, and if people worry about being scratched, absolutely. But that is not a long-term solution. And in situations like that, please separate your cat and then reach out to behaviors, because we will need to figure out a way to get out of the separation phase. I know I spent a lot of time talking about misplaced hunting behavior, but I want to acknowledge the fact that real aggression actually do exist. And as I said, it consists of about 50% of the aggression case I deal with, they are legit aggression. Um, how does it look like, right? So usually it looks like hissing, growling with their ears flat out on the back. So like I like to call it aeroplane ears. It's like aeroplane wings like that. Um, it might also be a case that they are frozen in the corner, and then also it might be a case of they have a reaction. They typically it will look like they sit next to you, you're patting them on the sofa, suddenly they become aggressive. Especially for this kind of certain turn of emotion is very often there is a medical issue. As I said earlier, we need to take aggression case very seriously, especially if your case involves children, elderly people, or any other vulnerable individuals in your family. Please seek help as soon as possible. It's not something that I would recommend people to spend any more time to go on internet to try to find a solution. Uh, there are things that you can use the tips on the internet, which I'm going to cover in the future episodes, but aggression is not one of them. So if you're not sure if you're dealing with aggression or misplaced hunting behavior, how do we know the difference? The first thing to do would be to observe the body language. Is it a tense body language or is it a playful body language? That might give you some idea. Another way is to observe the behavior pattern. So, is there an what are the trigger? Is there an obvious trigger? How does the episode start? How does the episode look like during? How does the episode ends? As always, the first thing you need to do is to consult your veterinarian because aggression could very well be pain and discomfort that your cat is experiencing and they don't know how to explain to you. The only thing they can do is they start hissing and growling because they don't know what happened. Always make sure to check with your vet. If you get a clean bill of health, then it's the time to contact a behaviorist because as I said, aggression case is very, very serious. I have dealt with cases where people end up to have stitches, and if it's not a human, it's an other cat in the family that got stitches. So the longer the delay, the higher risk it has become, and to be honest with you, you might end up spending more money because of various medical bills. So the take-home message for this episode is that not all aggressive looking behavior is aggression. Sometimes the aggressive looking behavior might be misplaced hunting behavior. In future episode, we will do a deep dive in misplaced hunting behavior because if this is your case, there's so many things you can do at home to try to resolve this problem. So please stay tuned. Remember, behavior is not random. There's always a reason.